everything consumer and e-commerce today. Buy, buy, buy. We're going to be buying stuff, but what are we buying? How are we buying? This is something that we've been talking a lot about here on VCTV and has definitely changed due to the digitization here in 2020, as we've been looking at how our purchase decisions, our platforms, and how and where we buy has dramatically changed. This has been an acceleration we've been looking at for a number of years, but here it is. More of us are buying online than ever before. What does that look like today? What does it look like tomorrow? And what does it look like in the future? As we switch from physical to digital goods, there's a lot to talk about, and we've brought the best and the brightest from around the world who are not only investing, but also building and have built some of this in the past, here to talk about where things are going in the next year. And with that, a big thank you to you, our audience, for tuning in. If you like what you hear today, make sure you click the subscribe button down there in the corner. We'd love for you to also reach out if you would like to be on a show like today, to join other investors to share your thoughts and insights around technologies, industries, and regions around the world. And entrepreneurs, this is also an opportunity for you. There's less than 80 days in Q4, which means you are sprinting towards the end of the year. It is a great time to jump on the virtual stage here at VCTV to share your product and company with us here as investors, to not only get real-time feedback, but also to start building a foundational relationship with us, and also great exposure to our live audience. Do reach out to the team and or myself, and we'd love to find the right set of investors and panel for you. And lastly, a big thank you to the LATOKEN team and to Emmanuel for making VCTV possible every single day. With that, let's go ahead and dive in and welcome each and every one of our outstanding investors and guests today, as we've got an exciting panel for you today. Jose, welcome. You are first up in my left-hand corner. We're going to kick it off with you today. A little intro, a little background for everybody.
Hi, Kyle. Thank you for having me here back on your show. Really love it every time. So my name is Jose Grasa. I've been a serial entrepreneur now for more or less 40 years. Business angel for around 26, and a VC for more or less 3 years. I've built essentially a lot of brands in the past, mainly in consumer area. So this topic we have today is really my cup of cake. I like much more to be an entrepreneur than being an investor, and the main reason why I like to be more entrepreneur is because there's a much bigger challenge in building up things, and it's much more harder, in my opinion, personal opinion, than investing. Happy to be here, and let's kick it off.
Wonderful. Cup of cake, by the way. First time I've ever heard that expression. I love it. Cake in a cup, if you haven't tried it as well. Also very tasty during fun days. So thank you, Jose, for kicking that off. Susan, welcome to the show. First time guest here with us at VCTV. Little intro, a little background, please.
Thanks for having me on. Sure, I'm also a serial entrepreneur, investor with background in media, software. I'm a community advocate, and also sitting in the board of a few private company and nonprofit organizations with 30 years of hands-on experience in building innovative products and businesses in software, retail, and media industries. During the last 10 years, after graduating from Stanford University graduate school, I made my mission to develop, invest, and leverage consumer-centric and tool-based technologies that can end the internet consumer as a product model. And we can talk about it later because I think this is a prominent model for internet today. And some of these technologies that I created or invested on include omni-channel marketplace as a service, universal shopping carts, headless and API-based commerce, cross-pollinated contactless commerce, you name it, leveraging blockchain, AI, and cutting-edge technologies. And also recently, I joined Can-Do after being on the sideline for 4 years and helping them with deal flow. I joined Can-Do Investment, a seed investment fund in Bay Area as a partner, and work on sourcing, developing, and support the startups focused on SaaS, AI, blockchain, and consumer internet. that's my share of having hands-on in technology.
I love it. I love it. Awesome background. Real quick question for
Thank
those who may not know Can Do. So your seed investors, it sounds like you guys have a few different areas. Is there an average check size or anything specific in an industry that you look for?
Seed nowadays is relevant. In fact, we're hearing pre-seed, seed prime, seed. So I guess, I guess from the check size, $500 to $1 million, we are one of the seed prime investors.
Seed prime, ladies and gentlemen, new term here on VC TV, seed prime.
Yeah.
Stay attuned to it. Awesome. Well, thank you, Susan, so much. This is great. We're definitely going to come back on your consumer as a product model. Lots to talk about there. But before we get there, Mark, welcome back to the show, my friend. Love the background today. We got a little different background for you and absolutely loving it. A little intro, a little background for everybody.
Okay, Susan, I'll shut up now.
Oh, okay.
She just leveled all of us. You know what I mean? Like I mean, how do you put me after her? I can't even.
Thank you. No, you're so kind.
But people need people like me, right? You know, simple people that look at things the way they are, and not really complex, right? So, no, I accepted Maria's invite, and thank you for Kyle. Is that a knitted sweater you have on?
It is a little bit of a knitted sweater. It's a fisherman knit, I think it's called. So it keeps me very warm on these cold Bay Area days.
This opens for my shameless plug. I'm an investor in Knit Farm. It's an e-commerce site that actually brings knitters from small different communities around the world and gives them a platform to sell their knits. As you know, Kyle, I'm an avid traveler, and I've lived in Portugal and Spain and different places, spent a lot of time in Germany and France. And I saw that that knitters, they were really good at knitting because there's 8, 9 generations of knitting, but they don't know how to put their stuff on the internet. So they spend these summers selling these things that took them 3 or 4 months to make, and they sell them for $40 at the fairs, the local fairs. The problem with that is that $40 for us is not a lot of money, but $40 for the local community is a lot of money. So I said, hey, you need to be selling that for $400 to New Yorkers or to Kyle, right? So just a little bit of background. You guys already know I'm already a New Yorker by the way I talk. I spent 14 years in Miami. After that, I got involved in advertising and e-commerce and digital. And now I'm I have to say that 2020 has been probably one of the best years of my life. And I know people are going to get mad, but it gave me a lot of time to connect with people that were usually busy on planes. And Mark, I can't talk to you now. I could talk to you in 3 months. Now they say, hey, can we talk in 3 hours? So I'm looking for people simple people like the knitters that need investors. I'm not looking for the people that have it all figured out. You know what I mean? Some people don't have it figured out. So if you need figuring it out, you can call me. Then when we get to that level, I'll call Susan.
Hey, there you go.
Right? So
there you go.
I'm not. You caught me up early this morning. I'm gonna take a little while to warm up this morning.
I'm loving it. And look, your comment about 2020, I can't disagree. I mean, it brought me to this family that we've now created here at VCTV for the past X amount of months, and it's been awesome. So, Mark, there's no apologies needed. You've got an outstanding point there, and so glad that we've been able to bring this group together. And Gary Fowler, I can't wait to get to your introduction here in a little bit, but it's been an outstanding opportunity to connect with so many. And Noble, with that being said, welcome back to the show. Pleasure to have you as always. Little intro, little background. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, to follow up with Mark and Susan, it's, being on the show so many different times, you feel like everybody's already heard your spiel, your pitch, your opening. So it's always refreshing to hear someone's like Susan who's got a new perspective. It makes you realize how you got to up your game at every time. So thank you, Susan. I've been a serial entrepreneur since the 90s. I've been involved in when SMR and CDMA and TDMA technology converted to create what we have now as cell phones. I was in the 150, 450, 950 megahertz spectrum, which even allows for us to, was the predecessor to all the 5G that we're, enjoying now. Fast forward, I'm part of Dracone Capital Partners. It's an evolution of my hedge fund in the commodities days. I've written 7 books on investing and trading. And now I work closely with maccelerator.la to work in, I guess I got to understand the lingo now because I've never heard of seed prime, but we're pre-seed area, anywhere from 25,000 to 100,000 and our mandate is over the next 3 years to help 300 companies and more of a diversity expansion, working with underprivileged, underserved communities, both women, minority, and even international. We've been doing it for the last 2 years, and now we've kind of been a lot more aggressive in our mandate to really get people the opportunity to break into this space. I'm also the CEO of a company called Where Play Games, which I built off of a patent that I filed on augmented reality, converging with clothing and items to create interactive gaming. And for the most part, I'm just open to working with anybody who has a good perspective. We're also looking for LPs for our venture fund to work with diversity inclusion, and just happy to be here as always, Kyle.
Awesome. Happy to have you as well. And Tilo, welcome back to the show as well. It's a pleasure to have you from across the pond. A little intro, a little background for everybody who may not know you as well.
Yes, definitely a bit US heavy today. I feel the only one outside the US and representing all over Europe here from Berlin, Germany. And greetings to all of you at the East Coast and West Coast. Very nice to be here and great to tune in from the tech capital of Europe, at least. And yeah, my name is Tilo Bono, and I'm running here with Piavo PR, Europe's leading technology PR firm. So we represent a lot of US tech companies that are coming to us, to beautiful Europe, to do business here. Companies that you all know, like Stripe or GitHub or Shopify, investors like Silicon Valley Bank, GitHub, many more. And so it's very great to be with all of you here. And yeah, we help them with public relations, social media, content marketing, influencer relations, whatever helps them to spread their word and to get the attention that they deserve here in Europe and conquer new markets. And on the other hand, I'm also, of course, investing as a business angel, but also in more than 15 venture capital funds all around the world, from Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, but also, of course, here in Europe, in several countries, in LA and Seattle, in San Francisco. So it's really great. It gives me a great overview what's going on and what kind of new business models and new business all around the world happen. And it's always great to work with investors together to help them to make, raise and shine their portfolios. And when investors give the money, we can give the fame. So I think it's a good combination.
Money and fame. There you go. Tilo's your guy, ladies and gentlemen. Gary Fowler.
Talking about fame, right?
Oh yeah, talking about fame. Oh, Tilo set this up.
The $1 billion guy there. That's the $1 billion guy.
Oh my gosh, I don't even have to do this intro today. Everyone's helping out. This is amazing. Gary Fowler,
I don't even know what to say. Wait a second.
The printing press of artificial intelligence, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Intro, background, you know the rep.
Yeah. So, I've been doing startups for over 30 years. I don't even know what to say. You guys are hammering me to death. I write a lot. So I write, I'm publishing 4 articles this week. We did CNBC on Friday, which I'm really proud of. It was really cool. Actually, they reached out to us. I love startups. I'm in Palm Beach in Florida, but normally I'm in Silicon Valley. And, I believe that AI is a new electricity, and I'm writing a lot about AI and ethics, AI and drug discovery, working with pharmaceutical companies from around the world. I'm the co-founder and CEO of GST Venture Studios, which is an operational venture studios. We work with companies from Dubai, Germany, Indonesia, Russia, Belarus, Azerbaijan, all over, and the idea is to help them go global. I've done 2 unicorns. My first unicorn was Click Software, a company that we brought over from Haifa, Israel. I was on the original team. Sold to Salesforce for $1.3 billion. And then Eva is my latest company. It's closing in on unicorn status today. We're really lucky. I'm a country boy from Pennsylvania, AI HR tech, but remote workforce management. We started 2.5 years ago, and it's nice having a billionaire partner, David Yang. So that definitely didn't hurt. That's for sure. And by the way, it's nice to get the crumbs from a billionaire for sure. So anyhow, that's where we are. And I love doing this. I think, Kyle, you've done an incredible job in putting this VCTV together and bringing people from around the world and creating, I was reading a book, The Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And I mean, it's really bringing people together and it's keeping business moving forward, which is, VCTV has to be applauded for it because it's a great platform and I love it.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and appreciative of all of you joining as well and helping it to continue to grow. So thank you very much, and Gary for taking all my jokes as we deliver them as well.
You are the master of knowledge.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you. Last but not least, David, welcome to the show. First time with us here at VCTV. Little intro and a little background as well.
Welcome. I'm a little camera shy. That's why I've been going off the camera. So excuse me. You just want my background, like my information, like everybody else.
Yeah.
All right. So I was a high school math teacher for 18 years, and I always did a little side hustle on the side. It was mostly with real estate. Not to knock our educational system, but it got really, really bad. So a couple of years ago, I left and to come back. It felt really good. Along with Spencer Van, we co-founded Surplus Funds, which is an educational company we have. We just got our first 2 award from ClickFunnels. We're getting our second here shortly. We've turned our business into a 6-figure income, and it's been really nice. We educate a lot of people. We have a lot of good testimonials. We've helped a lot of people be able to achieve this goal as well. And then I'm always up for like learning new techniques. So I saw this and thought I would just jump on and find out what was going on.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for joining, and welcome to the family of VCTV here, both to you and Susan, first time. And we'll be diving into some topics here in just a second, and we'll get the show on the road. So with that being said, to everyone, we're talking about consumers and e-commerce. What has changed? We all know that, again, 2020 has seen a dramatic acceleration in the way that we have looked at things from a consumer behavior side, but then also how we are buying things. So looking at how our marketplaces have changed. More purchases online than potentially any year before that. It feels like Black Friday, Singles Day, Cyber Monday, whatever you want to call it, from anywhere in the world, it feels like the biggest shopping day every day or every weekend here in 2020. But what does that mean going forward? What does that mean in terms of investing and opportunities and trends as we look to how these things and this time here in 2020 will shape our future for e-commerce and us as consumers as we look forward to this? Jose, let's start with you. What are your thoughts as to where the current state of e-commerce and consumers is and where we think we're going?
So in order to understand that, we need to go a little bit back in time. I remember quite well that I started with my first online sales in the year of 2000, very premature. It was already an integrated solution with an ERP at that time. And we were selling clothing over the internet, brand clothing. Consumer market was not very well developed at that time. So we were seeing the uprising of the first, let's say, online malls. Most of them closed down. And eventually it really started kicking off more or less 10 years later in 2010. Now I can tell you that I developed 2 technology products. One was called NetShop, and later on another product was called, in French, Petit Médian Entreprise. So it's SME box in English. And what we did is we had a complete solution for all these micro and small companies that could kick off in one shot. And the latest product at that time that made it to national TV, it was fully touchscreen, tablet use, and you could do it on the run, okay? So this brings me to what happens today. Today, what you see is you have a converging, let's say, amount of technologies, including with artificial intelligence, okay, and machine learning getting out of this today as well. That is completely a different ballgame than what it was 10 years ago. I even predict, because that's where we are working, BizMoney itself, I'm still on the same road to facilitate solutions for these micro companies and one-man shows and these small companies. I even predict that in the future, there is no shop. In essence, it doesn't make any sense anymore for an individual to have a shop, because what you need exposure to social and getting in touch with these consumers immediately. And if you look at what's on the market today, the advertising model has changed radically. People don't go immediately in a shop anymore. What they do is they are on social, they see something they like, which is targeted to them with, let's say, artificial intelligence. They click on it, they like it, they buy it, and that's it, right? So that's what it is today. A lot of more things will happen in the future, definitely. And I would like to listen to what the other panel members have to say about this as well. But what I see is that shops, in essence, how it is today, is the past for me. We need to look at some targeting, marketing, advertising, and e-commerce. I call it e-commerce targeting, okay? And also the physical shops, they will continue, but they will converge completely with these digital solutions. So that's where the goal is, especially with COVID. We have seen an acceleration of a lot of traditional businesses that are forced to go online. Some of them, they even were like 5 years behind in technology. Now, suddenly they are thinking, and I've seen a few, that they are 5 years ahead, thinking 5 years ahead how to make it happen today. Okay.
Oh, that's a good point. I mean, some of this that you're referencing also touches back on the online to offline or O2O model that Jack Ma of Alibaba had created. Slightly different variation, but the idea that you can do shopping online and finish it in the store or vice versa. But then the way that online shopping has transformed into whether it's curbside or in-store pickup to no longer having to be in the store as well is one of the trends. And the other, as you mentioned, around e-commerce targeting, this is kind of what Instagram has become grandmasters in, if you will, being able to serve you products before you know you need them and getting you to buy things that you may or may not necessarily need. But that will come to, I think, here in Susan's point, looking at the consumer as a product model. But before we get to that, Susan, to you, current state, what are you seeing as e-commerce has shifted here in 2020, looking ahead to the year in front of us?
Okay, well, at least in the U.S., we've been behind maybe even developing countries. We only have, only 11% of our, 14% of our retail sales was coming from online sales before pandemic, while in China, India, and other countries, we see up to 40% or even over 50% coming from online. So we were behind the wheel compared to all other countries in adopting online sales, because maybe because we had established infrastructure and those guys had an opportunity to leapfrog. Currently, I'm waiting for the 2020 numbers when it comes out, but there are some elements that make me believe that probably we don't see that much of we don't see that much of progress in the online sales. First of all, the demand shifted. High fashion retail probably with high margins is not doing well. As you can see, many of the retail stores like Neiman Marcus and others filed bankruptcy. Well, when you're staying at home, you definitely don't need high fashion, at least for the time of pandemic. The other element that maybe contributes to the low retail sales this year is she-cession. I don't know if you've heard about that expression, but it was in the news, USA Today, a couple of weeks ago. Over 865,000 women actually left the workforce just last month. Millions of women who are responsible for online shopping. 83% of the online shopping is done by women. Even over 80% of the stuff that are purchased for men have been purchased by women historically. So if they don't feel like shopping and they're staying home and they're busy with cooking and take care of the kids, being the teacher, mom, entrepreneur, whatever, at home, we should see that, we don't see high margin retail sales going on. Maybe commodities, yes, we're trying to stay away from the stores, but that will contribute to the low online sales. As you can see, if you see the drop in the online sales, is just like plunging down. I'm not sure where the numbers are much better than before, and half of the online sales was attributed to Amazon anyway. So the top retailers didn't have that much of share in those online sales before. However, now I think for some of the people who were laggards or they didn't want to adopt the online shopping, there was an opportunity to learn, to actually mitigate the learning curve. And maybe in the future, when the market comes back, when the pandemic is over, we can see better numbers, as I said, compared to the rest of the world in the United States.
Thank you for that, Susan. Mark, to you, current state, what do you see in furthering on Susan and Jose's point?
Well, I think we're talking about consumer e-commerce, but we're focused more on the seller. The seller is actually creating the behavior behind the consumer. How's the consumer behaving? No one answered that yet. We're saying the consumer is doing what they're telling him to do, but why is he doing that? And what I'm seeing in e-commerce and the consumer is that the consumer now has the ability to look for things that they want at a cheaper price, and that's why they're buying more, because there's more competition on the seller side. The Amazon is competing against the other guy, and the other guy is competing against the other guy. Now, because we spoke about COVID, I think that COVID is driving another type of a market, which is the outlet market, because now all these stores that bought in 2019 and 2018 for 2020 got stuck with a lot of stuff. I can go get a barbecue grill now because there was no July 4th and no parties or whatever. I can go get what used to be a $200 or $300 barbecue grill for $40. But I have to go to the local outlet store and pick it up. I can't pick it up online because it becomes expensive again with the shipping and the this and the that. So, I mean, the way I see it is I see things when in the early stage, and I think what happened is this big wave came, moved all the traditional retailers that owned a restaurant for 30 years on South Beach, moved them online. And then you have guys that never had any restaurant experience selling food now. And then you have these guys that never had any e-commerce experience trying to sell food online. So it's a bunch of new jacks, if you will, right? I always have to throw in these. So it's a bunch of new jacks trying to do things that they really don't know. So you have a guy selling cars that doesn't know anything about cars, and you have a guy that needs to sell cars online that doesn't know anything about online. So we're still very young here. I mean, it's kind of hard to start saying that. And in the middle of a pandemic, I'm not going to measure anything because I'm me, I'm an advocate for humanity. And when Jose speaks about, how he sees the future, I'm like, you mean my son and my grandkids aren't going to be outside going and getting an ice cream? They're going to order it and it's going to come in a drone, and that experience of granddaddy with an ice cream, walking down the streets of Porto or London or whatever, getting an ice cream, that's going to go away. I can't imagine myself in 30 years ordering an ice cream, but it's probably going to happen for my grandson because humanity is stuck in some little cave buying everything online. I just can't see it like that, and I won't advocate that. I'll advocate, saving humanity, which is something I always say on your show, that we should have people playing games, but not 23 hours a day. So I just see it that it's kind of an emergency mode. So I mean, you can't really build things on. I was in fan engagement in January. We were going to sign like $3 million worth of deals in fan engagement at the stadium. Where do you think that project is right now? There's no fans in the state. No.
It's interesting because we've also seen on the delivery side, Mark, to your point, some of the things that we have seen early teases of, which shockingly we haven't seen much action on right now, but maybe still will come, is like drone delivery, robotic delivery, where to our pre-show conversation, Susan and I being based here in the Bay Area, I was walking around one day and saw or heard something that was a little too close to me, and I turned around and there was a little robot that was delivering someone's food for them on the sidewalk, which about ran me over. But nonetheless, it is something that we have started to see a little bit of activity for, and it'll be interesting to see how that continues to transform, and whether it be ice cream or it's something that's a little bit warmer, and all the way into our consumer goods, again, how those things get delivered to us. Susan, it looks like you have a point.
You're talking about robots. I actually I always go online and says a robot for cleaning cleaning glasses, robot for vacuuming, robot for doing what, because I can't have my cleaning ladies coming here. So I've done my shirt. I'm buying some robots to help me with the housekeeping lately.
Robots here to help for all of us, ladies and gentlemen. Good point. But Mark, I totally agree and see where you're going with that as well. And Thilo, I want to.
And I just don't want to say, I don't want to say that delivery is not a thing, because I've invested in delivery companies in Latin America called Carrito. So Carrito is kind of not your regular delivery company because it needs to conform to the culture. Latin American economy is not the same as San Francisco, where people order in, you know, like $1,400 worth of biscuits, you know.
Mark, it was $1,200 worth of biscuits. You don't have to give me too much credit. I kid, but you are right. It's very different. And jokes aside, it is very different, city by city, state by state, region by region, on how these delivery methods, when it comes to the future of e-commerce, will roll out or have rolled out. You know, looking at Latin America, we've talked a lot about the rising middle class and the opportunities that exist there, but does not mean that e-commerce, how it's being shaped, say in the US or in Asia or in Europe, will be the same as it is in Latin America or Australia or other places in the world, as even Noble is shaking his head as well. And I think you're bringing up a great point. And I want to transition to Thilo, being based in Europe, but also working with so many companies globally. What are you seeing as this transition of e-commerce and where things may be going from here, Thilo?
Yeah, when I look at the marketplace e-commerce sector, I saw that interestingly many re-commerce companies, so companies where you can sell your used goods like your books, your video games, your computers, they really been very, very successful because, of course, people wanted to make money. They also spent more time home. So they saw maybe, oh, there are these old books in my library that I don't use anymore. So I can just sell it and clean up a little bit. So some do it for money reasons, because to make some quick money, others do it to clean their houses. But this is something, when I look at the numbers of these kind of companies that are in the re-commerce space, it's very fascinating how they really, for different kind of reasons, spark curiosity, obviously. What I also see is that everything when it comes to the concept of cocooning, yeah. So buying online furniture, making your home beautiful, gardening, when it comes to lighting, things like that, definitely also a sector that definitely benefited. And clearly, when we're talking about all this consumer electronic stuff, I mean, look at companies based in Paris, for example, with things they're doing, smartwatches, Wi-Fi scales, all this kind of stuff. I mean, amazing how much they sold and connected, because people then became more active, had more time for running, doing fitness, doing sport, things like that. But definitely also an actor, same as for like all these air purifiers, air filters, things like that, machines that you can connect with your phone. So definitely a big sector. And when you look at other sectors like delivery services, not just the traditional ones where you order pizza or sushi, but also companies that have these kind of cooking boxes, you know, where you get all the ingredients delivered to your home, can cook by yourself, etc. Also they had a definitely big spark. Of course, also all the entertainment services, when you look at companies in Europe like Deezer, for example, competitor to Spotify and co, definitely also when it comes not just the music part, also when it comes to podcasts, yeah. So definitely also here a spike in numbers, and great to see. And last but not least, is I always have also an eye on China and Asia. I think that was, I think when it comes to the stock market, when I looked there, I think it was a plus during the pandemic of 200%. Because when you invested in tech, especially in all the education applications, where you can learn a new language, where you can educate yourself through videos and other educational programs, that was definitely a massive spike. And this in combination with the overall trend of the consumer electronics and e-commerce and marketplaces. So when you look at the stock market in Asia and the tech sector, I think that is the best year ever. So very, very exciting. And yeah, back to you, Kyle.
Wonderful. Mark, do you have a point? Do I see a finger raise or?
No, that's not my finger. That's my.
Okay. Okay. So
you know, I don't interrupt people.
No. Good. It's all good. Gary, to you. Thank you, Tilo. Gary, to you. What are you seeing as the current state?
Well, I mean, let's look at the numbers. So September was up 43% in online sales year over year. And just the 13th to 14th of October for Amazon Prime, you know, it was unbelievable. They did 10.4 billion for an increase of almost 45%. So well, let's look at where we are, right? I mean, the numbers are being blown away. It's predicted that this holiday season will be up 24% year over year. So, I mean, the whole idea of, you know, AR to enhance, you know, the experience, voice, chatbots, I mean, hyper-personalization. How do we get closer to the customer? I have I'm the CEO of a retail tech company that's working on taking brick and mortar and actually make it have a more personalized online experience. So really this hybrid model where we're actually cross-pollinating is really critically important. And of course, this, you know, the pandemic is probably going to last another, you know, year plus, maybe year and a half. So during this time, I mean, I think it's the greatest time because as we said earlier, it's a great time for us to connect. It's a great time for people. They're using the online experiences, the digital transformation. You know, I talked from Jakarta to Dubai to, was this morning, Moscow, everywhere, Japan. And it's the same. I mean, this is the way it is. The good news is it's helped us push the technology envelope. And now it's given a great opportunity because of the big data, because of artificial intelligence, for companies to really, you know, get out there in a new way that they've never done before. So it's not easy for the Neiman Marcus of the world. I mean, you know, people are going out of business, no question about it. But at the same time, look at Amazon. I remember I started one of the first e-commerce consulting companies. P. Hong Chen from Broadvision was one of my investors. And I raised about $6 million at that time. This is back a long time ago. And I remember people said it wasn't going to happen. You know, e-commerce, people are not going to buy online. They're afraid of credit cards, et cetera. The stock went from like $6 of Broadvision to probably 2,000 split adjusted. And, you know, times change, right? He was on the cover of Business Week as Master of the Universe. So we are at the most incredible time we've ever had because it's not just about the US, it's about the world. Look at it, Kyle. All the shows, it's people from around the world are coming in to VCTV and participating because this is now a global phenomenon, not just about the US, it's about China, it's about Japan, it's about Europe. So, but we've got to go down and take and hyper-personalize, use data from not just shopping experiences from everywhere to make it easier for people to shop because we're being inundated with information. You know, I can't go down through, I don't know how you are with Netflix and Prime. I want to have better personalized experiences. I want to be able to see exactly the kind of things I'm interested in. And so taking all that data, the good news is happening today, but we got to remember there's, you know, about 33 zettabytes of data. That's enough to go back and forth to the moon 23 times if you have disks stacked end over end. So there's that much data. It's increasing at 62% a year. So we as consumers are inundated with stuff being thrown at us. The good news is we can get what we want. How hard? I just bought a Honda Element online because I needed a place to put my bikes. And I wanted a low mileage. I bought it online. I've never seen the dealer. Bought it online, had it shipped to me. I needed to have LED lights put in. This is in the last 2 weeks. I found it within the last 2 weeks, shipped it from Virginia. It's here. I wanted LED lights for the front and back. I went in, ordered exactly what I wanted to have put in. I ordered the stereo system that I wanted. Of course, I had to have a local installer, put it in, but I got exactly what I wanted in 2 weeks. How in the world, if it was 10 years ago, would I find a low mileage, under 40,000 mile vehicle to haul bikes that easy? And I did the same thing with the bikes I bought to put in the truck. So this is a great opportunity. It's really made us more efficient. Our time is very valuable. We don't have to go out to now you've got a captive audience that we didn't have a year ago. People are in front of their screens, in their homes, working, and also they got a lot more free time. I mean, on one side, they're working hard, but they do have time to be able to look online and shop. So I'm excited. I'm truly excited about the experience.
I love it. You can feel the excitement as
Gary,
you talk about it.
You single-handedly increase the online sales 50% at least.
Well, it's already up 43%, so we don't have that much further to go, do we?
Gary filled the 7% gap right there for everybody.
So, I mean, I had startups and VCs, right? So if you look at it today, this is a time. If you're going out, this is a time to take your artificial intelligence company seriously and go out there and start looking at how we can take that data and make the shopping experience easier, because it's about one-on-one, one-to-one marketing. How can I enhance it for you, right? And those companies are going to win.
I think you're right, Mark. You're championing it as well. And one thing I'll add is, even this weekend I saw a commercial for getting a car delivered. No need to go to a car dealership anymore. Just go online or on an app, find your car, and they bring it right to you, which is nice.
There
you go. Shameless plug. Noble, to you. Sorry, real quick, Mark. I want to make sure we get real quick Noble and David in, and then I'll come back for comments. Noble, to you. What do you see in his current state, furthering Gary's 7% bump in online sales here for 2020?
Macy's just had a 53% increase in online sales compared to the drop on in-store sales. The reality is Sears Roebuck had it right years ago that people like to shop at home. What we're doing is nothing unique. This is a 100-year-old business model that's applied in a new medium, in which people get items delivered to them and they peruse catalogs. The catalog distribution is different because we do augmented reality, and I'm always going to believe augmented reality is Web 3.0, that eventually it'll be me looking at Mark's shirt with my AR glasses and then being able to order it and buy it instantly and have it delivered. So I think there's a convergence. To Mark's point, I don't believe that we're not going to have experiential events. People like to go out too much, but the reality is, you're going to have these hybrid models of convenience and the like. Look at Target. They just opened 6 brand new stores. They opened up a huge Hollywood facility in Hollywood, which almost a 6-story building. But Target, all the big box retailers, they're actually booming for physical walk-ins because of what Susan said, the commoditization. There's certain items that people don't want to order online, toothpaste, toiletries, basic goods. And even now, those places have set up huge footprints for buying toys in store. So the reality is there's this hybrid model that's coming and to be frank, has always been there. It's almost as if we forgot that we liked ordering from the catalog. And now that it's back, everyone keeps pretending like it's brand new. But it's just the way we've always been. Human beings like the convenience of new stuff being dropped off at their home. And whether it's a drone or it's part of being a trader for years, is part of that game theory, right? That you don't know what's going to arrive, and the excitement of Christmas every day, even though you ordered it, but it arrived. Now you're opening the box, and the box, that's all part of our hunter-gatherer reward loop psychology that's built in. Susan hit the nail on the head early on. She said one of the problems of the consumer as a product is an issue, but the question always is to be asked, when has the consumer never been the product? Right? You have radio, which was designed to sell ads so people could listen. But the ads were there to turn the people who are listening into consumers. We've always been particularly America. I can't blanket statement everywhere because other countries have different mandates. But in America, we've always been very, very consumer driven. We give away tax refunds so people can go spend. So it's very much in our mind state to convince Americans to buy and to purchase. The beauty of all this is we've found a more comfortable way of being part of the ecosystem. We are starting to trust and rely more so probably than ever before on third parties to be able to deliver on their promise. And because we know humans are infallible, we've set up so many great automated systems to fill the gaps for human fallibility. So the idea of drones and the idea of software and the huge efficiencies that Amazon has built in and be able to pick and pack, sort and deliver using barcode scanners, all that really awesome components that have evolved have really allowed us to feel confident that when we make our order, the product doesn't arrive 6 weeks later, it arrives same day. So it's this idea that the consumer it's this idea that the consumer and the actual seller are at odds. But to be honest, everybody's working in this cohesive fashion. The biggest concern, because I'm always been an anti-consumer in the idea that consumerism can hurt. The biggest concern is how do we then make all of that packaging, goods, all that stuff become more green, right? More environmentally friendly, so that people can be not feeling like they're in the way of destroying the environment, but really being a part of the evolution of what this looks like. And that's really the biggest concern. I think that this whole trajectory is nobody is going to stop ordering online. Nobody's going to stop instantaneous ordering. One of the great, and I don't know if you guys read The Hustle, it was one of the great direct zines that I get. They had a great article about a company, North Dakota. They produce direct-to-consumer peanut butter, Nerdy Nuts. Really cool. They do all kind of really awesome white chocolate peanut butter. They saw the landscape and they said, hey, everybody is buying health peanut butter, but why don't we just go the opposite direction and just create fun peanut butter? These guys went from a family, husband and wife side in the garage hustle business to now they're doing over $500,000 a month, an explosion. They got to the point where they had to stop the day-to-day sales and only release offerings every Sunday so they could handle the production. So it's the idea that consumers are going to find these cool niche items that they really, really like. And they're going to find them on social media. They're going to find them through AR. They're going to find them in video games. And then they're going to go out and search where they can buy them. And they're going to go direct. But all the efficiencies that have been created for deliverability is what everyone's benefited from because of the Amazon model. The question, I guess, really is, as we look forward to this increase, just how do we keep it green? And how do we, I've got we've ordered stuff all the time from Amazon. We have tons and tons of these darn Amazon boxes. What are we going to do with all this stuff and the packaging and all this stuff? That's where I think the downside of a lot of that is how do we make sure that we're not ruining things?
Absolutely, Noble. And I think you're bringing up a great point. And sorry to cut you off there, but we're short on time here on Partner Monday. But you're bringing up absolutely outstanding points around sustainability and also the future of supply chains, which we've talked about here as well, and how this hyper localization model has really started to take off. And Nerdy Nuts, I'm craving some peanut butter, but also the Christmas Day effect. I mean, you order something as small as a binder or a cup, as you mentioned, and it's coming, but you get it. You open it up and it's like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest day of my life because I got a package. It's definitely a rewarding effect that we're not going to see slow down. And I think we're going to just see continue. Even when the drone delivers my coffee early in the morning, just before BCTV, I will still be excited like it's a fresh Christmas day as well for me. But David, last but not least, any thoughts around the current state of things? And then I'm going to come around for one last question, everybody, before we wrap. So David, to you.
I've been kind of just soaking this in, but no, I have no thoughts right now. I appreciate it. Yeah, this has been good.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well,
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts, I should say, but I'm kind of like just soaking all this in, just hearing everyone's where they're at and the whole digital and the whole AI and just where it's going. And I think they're absolutely right. I've had a lot of real estate flipping. I just look at when I first started out in real estate and where I ended up. And it was just the difference is like used to be when you wanted to go get a title report, you had to go down to the courthouse and pull one. I know I'm dating myself, but you actually had to go down to the courthouse and pull it, or local. Now you can just pull everything up online. It's all become digital. And just imagine another 4 or 5 years from now where it's transpiring to. I do believe that people have to go out and hunt their own meat and find their own income. And I do believe that things that are happening in regards to technology in the world are just radically different, and it's going to just continue to just change. So yeah, sorry, that's a kind of a long segment there.
No, that was a very short and sweet segment. So don't apologize at all. That was perfect. Thank you, David. And Susan, I want to come to you quickly on the consumer as a product model. There's a few points you wanted to touch on there, so I want to give you that time to do so, and then I'll be coming to everyone for closing thoughts.
Yeah, I get back to my experience. 10 years ago, I was studying, I was working on a research study in Stanford on user privacy, why we are targeting and retargeting customers. We're everywhere recommending stuff that they don't want or they don't want it at that time. So why we're doing this? And when I was looking at the new advertising models, honestly, I didn't see that much of difference between them and the advertising models like 50, 60 years ago. My parents had started the first advertising agency, probably, I think the first in Iran 60 years ago. I didn't see any difference between these advertisements, get it or regret it type, and what they were doing at that time. So then I came up with the idea of push advertising, using content and contextual or experiential advertising. When you see something and you want it, instead of just recommending stuff with the hope of you buying it. When I see something, there should be a technology, or technologies to help me to shorten my discovery and decision journey, from discovery to buying to delivering it to my house, hopefully without a package on a scooter, let's say, right? So how we can create a world that when I'm watching a movie and I see that dress on the actress, in 15 minutes I can deliver it to my house. So I invested and developed technologies and multiple companies that I'm involved with to create this experience that, I want this, I want to buy it at the best price, at the shortest time, and deliver it to my home in a green way, right? A scooter driver brings it home, and I don't have to even use my credit card. I put my face front of the screen of the scooter, and everything is paid. And you know what it is? This is cross-pollinated commerce. This means that the retailers, technology companies, media companies, social media companies, they have to work hand in hand, and they have to put an end on the point solutions, because that's how we can serve the consumers. That's how we can be a tool-based a technology. We can provide a tool-based technology and serving the customers rather than selling their data to whoever we can sell to target them and retarget them with everything that they think is the right thing for the consumer. That takes a lot of time and energy and billions of dollars, but most importantly, changing the mindset that we are not the only one who needs to own the consumer. We need to work hand in hand with the technology, with changing our mindset about having monopoly on the customers and serve them. That's how you can create basically consumer-centric commerce. And, I've been spending 10 years of my life and spending millions of dollars on this. Let's see where we're going. So I give you a glance of the experience that, consumers should have.
Thank you so much, Susan. And since we are here on Partner Monday and coming to the top of the hour, I want to come to everyone for quick closing thoughts. So sorry for the shortness of today's episode, but so much to talk about, as so much has changed here in these areas as we've all talked about today. And I want to come together for quick closing thoughts, and then where everyone can be found online. So social media and website for the audience to be able to continue the conversation. So Jose, super quick closing thoughts, and where can everyone find you online?
Okay, so the closing thoughts basically is like this. We are facing a real revolution on e-commerce, because until now, people were developing products and they were thinking that people like it. And I think that Mark, also Susan, Noble, and Gary, and even Thilo made quite some good, interesting thoughts about it. But it's for the first time that it's inverted, because nowadays with artificial intelligence and the way things are built up and converging these technologies, we know more about them as they know about themselves. And that's the issue. Knowing all those details, you can develop products that are effectively for them, that they want to have, that they gave you the hints that they want to have that, and there is no offer in the market. So we on BizMoney, we are working on that for quite a long time now, okay? And that's where we feel it's going to happen very fast. You can find me on LinkedIn, essentially, under Jose Grasa or on the BizMoney. And I'm an open person, very easygoing, so you can always pop in and shoot me a message, and we start to initiate a conversation. Thank you, Kyle.
Awesome. Thank you, Jose. Mark, to you, quick closing thoughts. Where can everyone find you online?
Okay, quick. First, my first online e-commerce company was called Urban Closet, 1997, 1998, to add on Gary's, and he's in Palm Beach, so a place I know very well, lived there for 14 years. Bought my first car online in 2001 at a Lexus dealership, went in, picked it up about an hour later. So to wrap this up, e-commerce and everything that consumers are doing right now today that's popular is not new. I've lived in third world countries, like I lived in the most expensive zip code 33460, where Gary's sitting right now. And I see the differences between that. And two differences that are coming to play now is that third world countries have been calling Pablo to pick up their whatever they need, because one, they don't have a car, and two, it's more expensive to get in your car and drive somewhere than to call Pablo to bring you a broom, rice, beans, whatever it is. So I mean, Uber's been around for a long, long time. It's just now very well funded. So it's called Uber, but Pablo still exists. When I'm in Costa Rica, I can call Pablo and say, hey, I need rice, beans, or whatever on his phone. And he brings me rice, beans, and, you know, no branded, no Uber, no Glovo, no nothing. So, I mean, it's kind of everything happening together. And then the smart guys is trying to say, hey, we can put this technology on that. We can put this technology, but I still have the oldest technology in the world. I just call Pablo and say, hey, I need rice, beans, and whatever. So to bring this all under one umbrella, I think things that we're seeing today are happening already for the person that's diverse and that's been around different places, like from Palm Beach to, you know, little towns in Costa Rica or whatever. And I kind of just smile because all of it is working together. But to say what Jose said, I mean, I don't want to be sold to every day, every 5 minutes. I don't want to be watching a movie and say, hey, I want that. But that's what's happening. The subtext is talking more than the movie. You know, people want the dress that's not the protagonist of the movie. That's right. Just the fact. So you need me to say where they can find me now?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, marklugo.com or Mark Lugo LinkedIn. Sorry, Kyle.
All good, Mark. All good.
All right,
Thilo, no, you're great. Thank you so much, Mark. Thilo, to you, super quick, 30 seconds, closing thoughts. Where can everyone find you?
Yes, I mean, best is LinkedIn, I think, for everyone. Then, of course, also Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you feel comfortable. But I think LinkedIn is the most convenient part. And I think closing thought is definitely that I'm super excited to see what will happen with all the brick and mortar stores, if the retail industry will be able to convert them, or will have the new whatever VR spaces there, or what will happen with our boulevards here in the cities. That's definitely a nice side effect that I'm very curious about to see how cities evolving.
Awesome. Thank you, Thilo. Noble, to you, super quick. Where can everyone find you?
No, we're in exciting times, and this is kind of just the tip of the iceberg where we're headed in the idea that consumers and purchasing and products really need to synergize. Easy to find me. I'm on LinkedIn.com. You can find me under my name, Noble Dracone, or you can find me at Twitter at Dracone. And as always, happy to be with all these great panelists.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Noble. Susan, to you, quick closing thoughts, and then where can everyone find you online to continue the conversation?
Sure. LinkedIn is the best place to find me. LinkedIn.com/Susan Ekbergpour.
Wonderful. Thank you, Susan. And Gary, close us out. Quick closing thoughts. Where can everyone find you online?
Yeah, this digital transformation has created an incredible opportunity for retailers, for companies that are providing goods, and for shoppers. So the startups that take advantage of it and understand it and use the AI and big data are phenomenal for things like hyper-personalization. So VCs that understand that this is an opportunity and get in early are going to win. You can reach me, Gary Fowler, LinkedIn. You can also get me on Facebook, et cetera. And I have a show tomorrow. I work with some of the top VCs in the Valley called Gary's Picks. I highlight the top startup in the world. And each week I highlight those companies. And the following week, I highlight top folks like Guy Kawasaki I have on my show, or had, Samir Sharma, Intel. And next week, stay tuned. I'll announce it later this week who my guest is going to be.
Wonderful. Cannot wait. Thank you all so much for sharing your thoughts and insights around today's topic of consumers and e-commerce as well. I greatly appreciate your time here as we went a little bit over on Partner Monday. And to you, our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, click subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Do reach out if you'd like to be on a show like today as an investor to join our panel to share your thoughts and insights around technologies, industries, and regions around the world. Entrepreneurs, thank you, Gary. This is an opportunity for you here on VCTV with our virtual stage. Thank you, Tilo, to get up and to pitch us as investors to get real-time feedback on your product and service, or get exposure to our outstanding live audience as well. And with that being said, a big thank you to Emmanuel and to the entire LA Token team. Thank you, Noble, for making VCTV possible every single day. Thank you, Mark. And with that, I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me everywhere online, 24/7, 365, like all of our guests today, at Kyle Ellicott. And we'll be back here more